are you afraid to try new foods? And I'm not really talking about, if you've never eaten octopus before, or if you've never eaten sushi or snails, would you be afraid to try those things? We tend to have our style of eating formed when we grow up. And it's kind of a cultural thing. So if you grew up in the South, you're going to eat and have a preference for certain types of foods, and much different than if you grew up in the North, and of course the West Coast versus the East Coast. Very different styles of eating and preferences for food. And certainly depends also on how you were brought up, who cooked for you, whether you ate out a lot or didn't. And once we go off on our own and we start eating on our own, whether or not we were taught how to cook or not cook, these things are certainly going to structure how we eat and even how much we eat in life. It's very interesting because of my profession. Just naturally, I've tried a lot of things as an adult that I never tried as a child, simply because they were healthy foods that I was learning in my profession, and it made sense for me to try it. And really diving into the natural lifestyle, I've kind of taken a liking to trying different things. So this is what I mean when I ask, are you scared to try new foods? Are you scared to try new healthy foods, different types of fruits and vegetables you've never had? Or, more interesting, fruits and vegetables that you may have written off as a child and decided that you didn't like, and now you haven't tried them again. The interesting thing is our taste buds and palate can change over time. Think about, I would say probably over 75% don't like things like onions, bell peppers, black olives, but how many of us adults like that stuff when we grow up? I know that I didn't like any of that, and beans, forget it. I wouldn't even touch them, and I'm not really sure if I ever even tasted them. I just made that decision that I didn't like the way they looked or smelled, so I wasn't going to eat them. And I still don't like a lot of them, but there are some that I'll eat now. So I have a couple of things next to me that I have started eating and eat on a fairly regular basis as an adult, but I never tried them. I'm in my 30s now, and I never tried them until probably in my late 20s, if not even in the last couple of years. But now I eat them on a regular basis. So it's not too late to try things if it's just not something that's ever been a part of your life before. So the thing to keep in mind is I'm going to have a really fun challenge over the rest of this year that is going to guide you and give you a starting place to start trying some of these foods. So if you don't know where to start, I'm going to talk more about that because I'm going to help you with that. So the first food I have here is one that's kind of a double thing. So this is natural peanut butter. So it's certainly natural peanut butter. We grew up with Peter Pan and Jiffy. That's what it was. And this one has coconut oil in it. So one of the things about peanut butter is it's usually made with soybean oil and peanut oil. And the soybean oil has a lot of the omega-6 fats in them that are not very healthy for you. They're very unbalanced with the omega-3s, and they tend to be have a negative impact on your heart health. But non-GMO, always love the non-GMO foods. And it is gives that you do have a little bit of a coconut flavor. But coconut oil is not something that I ever tried until maybe 2 years ago. And this is something that's gotten more attention for some of its health benefits. It is a higher saturated fat, but it comes from a plant. It's not a manufactured saturated fat that we know a lot of from, or an animal source that tends to be very detrimental to our heart health. So the coconut oil is actually really good for our hair, our skin, our nails, and it doesn't have that same really negative impact on our heart health like you would get from the fat on animals and the kind that you get in processed food that comes a lot with sugar and simple carbohydrates that aren't good for us that gets stored as even more fat. So both of these things, of course, this kind of peanut butter and then the coconut oil in itself are two things I never even considered trying until recently. So there's one food for you, Earth Balance coconut and peanut spread. Pink salt. So Himalayan pink salt usually comes like this in a grinder. I like the grinder because you don't use as much of it, so you're not really, coating your food with salt, because still too much salt isn't good for any of us. But the good thing about pink salt is it does give you some extra minerals. And when we buy just the regular white salt, there's really not any beneficial properties to it other than they add the iodine, which we're usually missing from our diet. So it just adds a really nice flavor. Side note, it's nice to make bath salts this time of year for presents and use the pink salt as part of that because it gives it a pretty color. But I like to keep this at the table. It comes in a grinder like that. Funny stories, I never really tried any type of rice besides instant rice as a child. So the thought of making rice that wasn't instant as an adult just didn't make sense to me because it seemed like it would take too long and just a lot of work. But my husband had the opposite. They always made rice that wasn't instant, and now we have a rice cooker and it's really easy. So then I started learning about jasmine rice. There's also basmati rice. Yes, they're still not going to give you a lot of fiber or other nutrients because they're white. You can get brown basmati and those types. But the reason why this has become a key staple in our family is because when we have jasmine rice, we tend to do it with stir fries that are loaded with healthy vegetables and lean meats. And so that actually as a whole gives us a healthy meal. And that is a good thing for us. And somebody asked me this week, am I okay with things like instant oatmeal that's not really healthy? And my answer to that is, like, using something like this, is I'm okay with semi-healthy, with like a half healthy. So if you're going to do like white rice, like jasmine rice, it has like a nutty flavor, so it's not boring like white rice. Then if it's something that's going to encourage you to couple it with something that is healthy, then I'm okay with it. I think it's a really good idea. So you've got this nice, really aromatic, nutty rice, and then it encourages you to eat something that's more healthy with it. So you're not getting bored on, white rice, grilled chicken, and broccoli. I mean, that's just, I think, why people get so fed up with diets. So we've got the pink salt, the coconut oil spread, jasmine rice, and then another one, which I'm going to really be encouraging you all over the next several weeks, is to try different fruits and vegetables. If you take a minute to really peruse your local produce section, you will find that there's a lot of different varieties that you've either never heard of or just haven't tried or haven't eaten in a while. And this here is a spaghetti squash. We are part of a local co-op that just delivers right to our doorstep. So we get a lot of things that we wouldn't try naturally because they just give it to us. So this is one of the things that they gave us, is a spaghetti squash. This has gotten some popularity in the past couple of years because people want to substitute this for pasta. And you can, because it actually looks like spaghetti when you cook it and then you take it out. It's very easy to cook. You just cut it in half, put it on its flesh side, and then put it in the oven. It's not starchy. So it's a non-starchy way to have spaghetti so to speak, and it doesn't really have a lot of flavor. So you would want to do something like tomato sauce or something like that. So this is what I'm going to be encouraging you to do over the next several weeks, is try new fruits and vegetables. Those are my little tips of new foods to try. If you want to join the challenge over the next 27 days, I will be doing a giveaway every single day. You have to click the link and follow me on Instagram, which is the Oil RD, and I'll post that link. Every day I'm going to challenge you to try something new and then take a picture of it, and then it's going to be a hashtag. So it's going to be like an RD, is the hashtag, and I'll probably say something like squash like an RD will be the hashtag of the day. And I'll choose a random winner every day that's participated, and then ask you to tag somebody to do it with you, because these things are always more fun with a friend. So today, make sure you're following me, and then try it and join in the challenge.